Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing an impromptu book unhaul video. I have been thinking about doing an unhaul for quite some time. I just didn't know which route I wanted to go. Now, I am not the type of person that wants or needs a big library of books. It just kind of clutters things for me personally. I know a lot of you booktubers love your multi-layered, several bookcases filled with books, and they're so pretty. But for me, I don't want all that. So I have been thinking about doing this for quite some time. I just didn't know which way I wanted to go. I'm not one to reread books, so just having a big catalog of books in my collection just seems kind of unnecessary. I will be getting rid of all the 1 and 2 star books that I didn't like. Also, I'll probably be getting rid of some that I really did like, just because I'm not the type of person that rereads books. I have reread a couple of books, namely Stephen King's Carrie and most recently Richard Matheson's A Stir of Echoes. But I'm at the point where I'm ready to just get rid of some books. Now, I keep books in 4 different places. Obviously, the first place is my bookshelf, filled with all the books that I haven't read yet but still want to read. Once I do read a book, they will go into 1 or 2 places. A keep category and a get rid of category. I do have a 4th tub of books devoted strictly to Stephen King. One day I will get to those, but for now, once I'm done with a book, I'm done with it. And I don't plan on keeping a lot. I'll keep a few that just holds a special place in my heart, I guess. But for the majority of these books, I think I just want to go ahead and get rid of them. Now, I could have gone to McKay's and taken them all there and just gotten rid of them all at one time, but McKay's doesn't really give you a lot for your books. There was another site I could have gone to where you can box up all your books and mail it to them, and they'll go through them and they will give you a cash payout. I almost went that route, but that was too up in the air for me. I'm more of a, I need to know this is going to work type of person, and I'm going to get as much money back for these books as possible. So what I did was I created an account over at Pango Books. Now, I will leave a link in the description because every book you see in this unhaul video will be listed on my Pango Books account for sale. So if you are interested in any of these books, please go over and check them out and see if there are any that you want to buy. So today is Saturday. It is like close to 12:30 when I'm filming this video. I have an hour and a half to get to the post office because I did list 1 book on Pango Books just to test it out, see how easy it was going to go. It sold in less than 12 hours. So I have got to do this video now so I can show you which book it was and get to the post office and get it mailed out, because I only have like 3 days to do so. I think the banks and the post office and everything will be closed on Monday for Juneteenth. So yeah, I just need to go ahead and get to the post office today before they close. So I'm going to show you which book I listed, and then I will take a short little break, go to the post office, do some errands. I'll come back and finish the video. And yes, this whole box of books back here are what I am unhauling and will be listed at Pango Books. We will get to that momentarily. But the book that I listed for sale, and it sold immediately practically, was Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. It's a short one. I wanted to just kind of see how smooth it would go. It went very smoothly. So I'm going to package this little baby up and send it to its new home, where hopefully the buyer will enjoy it much more than I did, because this was my least favorite read of 2022. I just thought the writing was very subpar, the characters were flat, and I don't want to keep it. So goodbye, Goddess, and I hope you enjoy your new home. Okay, so now that that is over, I am going to finish getting ready. I'm going to go to the post office, and when we come back, I will show you the rest of what's in this box, and we'll take it from there. So I will be back in just a moment. And we're back. Okay, so I have got Goddess of Filth shipped off to its new home. Goodbye. And I have moved the box of books from my bed to my little nightstand, so it's easier for me to access and show you what all I have. that I am unhauling. So I'm just going to start from the top. And the first one is going to be Hell House by Richard Matheson. It was an okay haunted house story. Wasn't my favorite, but some people really like it. And then we have The Return by Rachel Harrison. I love the cover of this one. This was an okay story too. I kind of hate to get rid of it, but it needs a new home. Then we have The Nesting by C.J. Cook. Nice little ghostly story set in Norway, I want to say. Somewhere around there. It was a decent story. Next we have Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertelli. Wasn't a fan of this one. It was just okay. I have enjoyed all the other queer books that I've read. This one was not very good for me, but it is very popular. A lot of people love it, so it is going up for sale. Next up is one called The House of Dust by Noah Broyles. I bought this one. It was by a local author who is from Knoxville. So I had to buy it. It's a Southern Gothic tale. If you are into Southern Gothics, I would suggest looking into this one. Next I have Wonderland by Zoe Stage. I'm pretty sure that's not how you say her first name, but anyway, this was an interesting story. Yeah, it's the first one I've read by her. I do have Baby Teeth, which I have not read yet. Looking forward to reading that one. But as for Wonderland, it was just okay for me. Next up is one I actually DNF'd, and it is called Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power. This is a young adult, kind of like a mystery novel. What I read of it, I think I read like the first 25% of it. Nothing horrific or thrilling happened, so that's why I DNF'd it. I love the cover, it's so pretty. And I'm sure somebody out there would love to own and read this one. Next up is one that is very popular. Everyone seems to love it. I thought it was just okay. I'm not a fan of extreme horror. I'm talking about Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Bastarrica. So if you have not read this one, it is definitely a must read. It is very graphic in parts, and that ending still shocks me to this very day. I'm never going to read it again, so I thought, why not pass it on to somebody else? Next up is The Best of H.P. Lovecraft. I actually read about half of this one, and then I stopped and actually bought the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. It's in a huge, big volume, so that's why I'm getting rid of this one. Next up is a collection of 2 zombie stories. It is called Undead by John Russo. This actually contains the novelization of Night of the Living Dead and the novel Return of the Living Dead, which has absolutely zero to do with the 80s movie of the same name. But I really loved Night of the Living Dead. Didn't really care for the Return, but I thought, well, one day maybe I'll get just Night of the Living Dead by itself. I would like to keep it, but I'm just going to send this on its way and let somebody else enjoy it. So these next 2 books require some backstory. I am actually a published author. I have stories in like 7 multi-author anthologies from small presses. So I'm in several from this one publisher, and that's where these next 2 come from. So the first one is called A Matter of Words. It is a collection featuring 20 plus authors. These collections are not genre specific, so you will find horror, you'll find fantasy, you might find some sci-fi and some just a little bit of everything in collections like this. I really liked a lot of these, but I'm never going to read this again, so I thought maybe I would see if it can find another home. The same goes for this next one. Is called A Haunting of Words. So this one, it does have a little bit of like staining on the side. I actually spilled something to drink on it once and was very mad about it. It didn't ruin any of the pages, but this story, even though it's called A Haunting, it is not all horror. So if you like hauntings, that's not necessarily horror, but some are, definitely check this one out. There is one story in this one I absolutely loved by an author named Don Taylor. It's called Pepe. It is about a killer clown, so that is my favorite story out of this one, and I would love for somebody else to own this and read it, and you will not forget it. Next up is one called The Invention of Sound by Chuck Palahniuk. I didn't really care for this one. It was my first Chuck Palahniuk story. He has a very different kind of writing style, which I didn't really care for, but he is very popular. Everyone knows who Chuck Palahniuk is, and it's a very weird tale. I'll just say that. It's kind of short. It's a hardback. I like the cover, the colors of the cover. So yeah, it just didn't work for me, but I'm sure it will work for somebody. Next up is one called Undead by Kirsty McKay. This is a YA zombie story set in Scotland, I think, somewhere over there. It was pretty decent, and I got it at a place called Ollie's for pretty cheap. And yeah, decent little zombie story. Next up is I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan. This is actually the reprinting slash revamping of the 70s story. This is set in like the 2000s, so they have cell phones and stuff, but it was nothing like the movie, which I knew that going in. If you have not read this, there is no killer fisherman with a hook, but I didn't think the updated stuff really worked. The dialogue was pretty much the same, so overall, I think I would have much rather have read the original version. This one didn't work for me, but I mean, if you ever need to read it, here it is. This next one is called House of Sighs by Aaron Dries. I love the cover of this one. Super badass. It also includes the sequel, The Sound of His Bones Breaking, which is really short. Yeah, so I think this was originally self-published, I want to say, and this copy actually was from Crystal Lake Publishing. Yeah, so there's that one. This one is called Bone Harvest by James Brogdon. This was a really good story. I think I gave it 4 stars. I love the cover of that one. It's about let's just say it's about a different kind of god. But I found it pretty interesting. It is set in London, I think. It's pretty long, but I would definitely recommend checking this one out. So I have another Southern Gothic tale. This one is called The Boatman's Daughter by Andy Davidson. This was pretty decent. I liked it better than The House of Dust. I read this one in January of this year. I read it while I was sick, so that might have derailed my enjoyment of it a little bit, but overall I thought it was pretty decent. So there's that one. The next one is, I don't even know how many of these I have. I think we're probably about halfway through, maybe, almost. This one is called Eden by Tim Levin. If you like horror stories set in nature, maybe you should check this one out. This one I really loved, and it is called The Chill by Scott Carson. The only reason I'm getting rid of this is because I want to eventually find the hardback cover edition of this one. I really hate the cover of this paperback one, but it was a really good, like, chilling, supernatural ghost story, and it involves like this dam and some ghosts. I'm just gonna say that. It was really good. I love the writing, and definitely check that one out. Let me change it up a little bit. Let's switch to some of the mass market and some Fear Street. So I'm just gonna put these all in one. So I have these Fear Street titles. We have The New Girl, A First Date, and All Night Party. So when I found these at McKay's used books, I didn't realize that these were like reprintings of original stories. So I already have The New Girl, and I'm not crazy about these covers, and I didn't realize it until I already removed the stickers, and so I couldn't return them. So they are going up for sale as a bundle. I think that would be easier. So if you are just a Fear Street collector and you are interested in these covers, go check it out. The next one is Son of Rosemary by Hour 11. Now I have not read this one yet. I actually found the hardcover edition at McKay's and bought that. That's the only reason I'm getting rid of that one. So next up we have a couple of Richard Matheson mass market paperbacks. I just read Richard Matheson back in May, and I don't think I'm going to keep any of them. I still need to read the short stories of his, which I hope to get to in July. The first one I'm going to get rid of is Stir of Echoes. This is one I've read twice now, and I don't think I'll probably ever read it again, but this was my favorite Richard Matheson story. So I kind of hate to part with it, but I think I'm going to. And then I have What Dreams May Come, which was a really good story also. But Richard Matheson, I don't think I'm going to keep any of his stuff. I mean, he was a decent writer, but I just don't really have the desire to keep mass market paperbacks. So before I started this channel, I didn't know anything about anything. So I would buy mass market paperbacks or hardcover editions, and it would just be random stuff I would come across in the wild somewhere. And I think ever since starting this channel and reading so many different formats of books, I really prefer the hardcover editions. They're prettier, they're easier to read, you know, bigger print and stuff. And these mass market paperbacks, they're really tiny if you're not familiar. It's a lot of pages, or a lot of words on little bitty prints. And with as I get older, it's getting harder for me to read that small. So yeah, I think I'm just going to get rid of all my mass market paperbacks, which I still have several I haven't read yet. But once I do, I'll probably get rid of those too. So there's that. So I have a few more of these mass market paperbacks. The first one is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I actually bought the hardcover edition of this on Penguin Books, so I have it. I can get rid of this one. I love this story. If you have not read it, what are you waiting for? Read it this winter. It's set in winter. Definitely a great thriller. But next up is the Amityville Horror by Jay Anson. I actually had 2 copies of this one with different covers. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. It's the most popular one, but the one I have is like white and has some flies on it, and you know, I'll probably end up getting rid of that one too after I read it. But yeah, there's that one. And I don't know why I bought this next one, but it is the movie edition of Dracula from the 90s. I guess I probably thought it was the actual original version of Dracula, but no, it's not. So I will never read that. I didn't read it, so just gonna put it out there for somebody else. And this one is The Ruins by Scott Smith. I have not read this one yet either. I didn't find the hardcover edition, but I did find another edition, paperback edition, which was taller, wider. I thought a better copy. There's nothing wrong with this copy. It's just a mass market, and like I said, I'm not really into that anymore. So there's that one. Okay, we're getting down to the bottom. These next ones are all like novellas, I think. This one is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I haven't read this one. I actually have another copy of it, bigger, better cover, so I'm getting rid of that. And then I have this one called Monday's Survival Guide by J.H. Glaze. I didn't really like this one. It's really short. It is a self-published story, and I love the cover. It's a great cover. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then we have The Girl in the Video by Michael David Wilson. Cool cover. really short. Yeah, there's that one. And we have Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. Didn't really like this one either. Loved The Only Good Indians, and I recently got The Last Final Girl. I haven't read that one yet. Didn't really care for that one. Then I have Elegy for the Undead by Matthew Vesely. This is a zombie story featuring queer husbands in the lead. So there's that one. And this one is called Follow Me to Ground by Sue Rainsford. This is like a magical realism story, so it's not very horrific or thrilling. It is very odd, but it was an interesting read. I'll just say that. And then the last little novella here, or maybe it's just a novelette, or I don't know which one of those versions is bigger, but it's Secret Santa by Andrew Schaefer. Maybe it's a novel. I don't know. I don't think it matters. It's less than 200 pages. So there's your good Christmas read. Okay, I have 6 more books to show you. The first one is Shelter for the Damned by Mike Thorne. Love the cover of that one. I think it's like a cosmic horror. It wasn't really my cup of tea. So there's that one. Another one that's kind of like, well, I don't think it's cosmic horror, but speaking of Queen of Teeth by Haley Piper. Another one that really didn't work for me. Yeah, it's pretty short. Then we have the last Richard Matheson book in this video, at least. That is 7 Steps to Midnight. This is more of like an espionage story. If you're into that, it's not horror. It's kind of, I guess, a thriller, but didn't like it. The next one is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Everyone seems to love this one. I didn't really care for it, but very cool cover. And my edition doesn't have the yellow sticker with the Reese's Club pick or whatever it's called. I hate those little stickers, but there's that. And then I have another one I DNF'd, and that is Jane Harper's The Survivors. It is not horror. It's not really a thriller. I want to say it's like a sort of a mystery, I guess. I thought it was pretty boring. Didn't work for me. And this last one I actually haven't read, and I don't plan on reading it. It's one of those times where I found it in Ollie's, and I thought, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. But I didn't realize it was part of like a series, and that is Night Shift by Charlene Harris. I don't know how you say that, but she's the author of True Blood. Is that what it's called? I know that's the name of the TV show, but whatever it was based off of. This is like the 3rd story in a series, so I'm not going to go back and get the other books, and so I'm just going to go ahead and unhaul this one as well. Okay, so that's it. Those are all the books I have to unhaul. I don't know exactly how many that was. I wasn't keeping count, but like I said, I'm going to list all these on Pango Books. Now, by the time you see this, there might be a few on there. I doubt all of these will be on there as soon as you go over there, but give it some time, and I will get all these out there. I'm going to have to go get some book boxes, mailing envelopes and stuff like that if I'm going to do this. I think it'll be worth it. I would rather these go to an actual person instead of just sending them off to some warehouse and who knows what will happen to them, or just giving them all to McKay's, who will give me crap for it and then resell it for a lot more than they gave me. So I think Pango Books is just the way to go. It means someone really wants what I'm selling, and all of these books are in great condition except for the little water stain or tea stain or whatever kind of stain it was on A Haunting of Words. Other than that, I don't I don't know what you call it, earmark the top of the books. I don't do that. Don't write in any of these books. So they are all pretty much in new condition. So just keep that in mind. And if you are interested in any of these, be sure you head over there as soon as you can, because they might be gone by the time you get there. So that is it. I think eventually I'm going to like go through the bin of books that I have read and wanted to keep, just to see if there are more books that I've decided not to keep anymore. There might be a few. I know there's like 6 or 7 books in that bin that I need to reread in order to determine if I'm going to keep them or sell them. So maybe look out for another video like this in the future. I do have a lot more books to read, and I'm pretty sure most of these will probably end up being unhauled at some point. Like I said, I don't need to have a lot of books. I don't really want a big old collection. I do have a lot of Stephen King, and I do plan on reading all of his stuff at some point. But as far as collecting, there are only a few I'm going to keep and eventually display. I would like to eventually get rid of this bookcase and get something a little smaller, a little brighter, you know. But until then, I'm just gonna keep what I have and get rid of what I don't want and keep what I want, and hopefully make somebody's day by offering discounted prices on these books. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed this book unhaul. If any of these sound interesting, go check it out. Look up the synopsis on Goodreads, look up the reviews, whatever you need to do. And yeah, so thank you again. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one.